What if I told you your entire life adds up to just 4,000 weeks, and most of it is already gone? In this audiobook summary of 4,000 weeks, you will discover why chasing productivity is actually making you more stressed, why you'll never have enough time to do everything, and how accepting your limits can finally give you control over your life. If you constantly feel busy but not fulfilled, distracted but not progressing, this is exactly for you. Stay with me till the end, and you'll walk away with a completely new perspective on time, focus, and what truly matters before your weeks run out. The idea that the average human lifespan is only about 4,000 weeks is both simple and deeply unsettling. When you first hear it, it doesn't sound like much, because it isn't. If you're in your 20s, a large portion of those weeks is already gone. If you're in your 30s or 40s, even more has slipped by. And this is exactly the point 4,000 weeks wants you to confront. Not to scare you, but to wake you up. We live as if time is endless, constantly postponing what truly matters. We say things like, I'll start later, I'll focus on that next year, or I'll enjoy life once I'm less busy. But the truth is, there's no later waiting patiently for you. There are only these limited weeks, quietly ticking away. Think about a normal week in your life. You wake up, scroll your phone, go to work or study, deal with small tasks, maybe relax with some entertainment, and before you know it, the week is over. Now imagine stacking 4,000 of those weeks together. That's your entire life. Suddenly, every small decision feels more significant. For example, imagine someone who spends 5 hours a day mindlessly scrolling social media. Over a year, that adds up to more than 75 full days. Over a decade, that's more than 2 years of life gone. This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because once you see your time this way, you start asking better questions. Is this how I want to spend my limited weeks? Is this activity meaningful or just comfortable? The book challenges a modern obsession with productivity, where we try to fit more and more into our lives as if we can somehow beat time. But no matter how efficient you become, you will never be able to do everything. There will always be more books to read, more skills to learn, more content to watch, more opportunities to chase. And that's not a problem to solve. It's a reality to accept. The real shift happens when you stop trying to do everything and instead start choosing what truly matters to you. For instance, imagine two people. One tries to maximize every moment by multitasking, constantly rushing, always feeling behind. The other accepts that they can't do it all, so they deliberately focus on a few meaningful things: deep relationships, a fulfilling project, or personal growth. The second person may accomplish less on paper, but they experience more depth, satisfaction, and presence. Another powerful implication of the 4,000 weeks idea is how it changes your relationship with waiting and patience. We often feel frustrated when things take time, building a career, improving skills, or maintaining relationships. But if life itself is limited, then these slow processes are not obstacles. They are the experience of life itself. Think about learning a new skill like editing videos for your YouTube channel. It might take months or years to master, but those weeks aren't wasted. They are the journey. The same goes for relationships. Spending time with family or friends may not feel productive, but those moments are often what you'll value most in hindsight. This concept also forces you to confront uncomfortable trade-offs. If you choose one thing, you are inevitably not choosing something else. If you spend your evening gaming, you're not spending that time learning or connecting with others. If you focus on building a YouTube channel, you might sacrifice some leisure or social time. Instead of trying to avoid these trade-offs, the book encourages you to accept them consciously. Because a meaningful life is not about having everything. It's about choosing what matters enough to give up other things. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. How many weeks have already passed? How many are realistically left? Are you spending them on things that genuinely matter to you, or are you just reacting to whatever demands your attention? If you continue living exactly the way you are now, where will you end up after the next 500 weeks? These questions are not meant to create fear, but clarity. Because once you truly understand that your time is limited, you stop waiting for the perfect moment and start using the present one. In practical terms, this idea can transform how you live. You can start by identifying a few things that genuinely matter to you. Maybe it's building your YouTube channel, improving your health, or strengthening your relationships. Then, Instead of trying to do everything, you give your time and attention to those priorities. You also become more protective of your time, saying no to distractions that don't align with your goals. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to appreciate ordinary moments because you realize they are part of your limited weeks. Main points and actionable lessons. Your life is limited to roughly 4,000 weeks, and a significant portion is already gone. So time should be treated as your most valuable resource. You will never have enough time to do everything. So stop trying to optimize endlessly and start choosing deliberately. Small daily habits compound into years of your life, so be mindful of where your time is going. Focus on what truly matters to you, even if it means sacrificing other opportunities. Accept trade-offs instead of avoiding them, because every choice comes with a cost. Value slow processes like learning and relationships, because they are the essence of life, not distractions from it. Reflect regularly by asking yourself, am I spending my time on what truly matters? If not, what needs to change? Start taking action now instead of waiting for the perfect moment, because your weeks are already passing. The uncomfortable truth behind why time management is broken is this: it promises control over something that can never be controlled. In 4,000 Weeks, the author dismantles a modern obsession with productivity systems, to-do lists, and life hacks by showing that they don't actually solve the real problem. They just make us feel temporarily in control. Think about how many times you created a perfect plan for your day. You wake up motivated, write down 10 tasks, maybe even schedule them hour by hour. But by midday, something unexpected happens. A message, a call, a distraction, or simply your own lack of energy. The plan collapses, and instead of questioning the system, you blame yourself. You think you lack discipline, when in reality, the system itself is flawed because it assumes life is predictable and fully manageable. The deeper issue is that as you become more efficient, you don't create free time. You create space for more work. Imagine clearing your inbox completely. For a brief moment, you feel productive and relieved. But within hours, new emails arrive, new tasks appear, and you're back where you started. This is known as the efficiency trap. The more you optimize your time, the more expectations grow, both from others and from yourself. It's like running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up. You're moving faster, but you're not actually getting anywhere meaningful. A real-life example could be someone who learns shortcuts, automates tasks, and becomes incredibly efficient at work. Instead of gaining free time, they are given more responsibilities because they can handle it. Their reward for efficiency is simply more work. Another hidden flaw in time management is a belief that one day you will finally catch up. Many people live with the idea that if they just work hard enough now, organize better, or eliminate distractions, they will eventually reach a point where everything is under control. But that moment never comes. There will always be more to do than you can possibly handle. Consider a student preparing for exams who tries to study every subject perfectly, complete every resource, and revise endlessly. No matter how much they do, there's always something left undone. Or think of a content creator trying to stay consistent, improve quality, follow trends, and engage with the audience. The list of tasks keeps expanding faster than it can be completed. The problem is not poor time management. It's the unrealistic expectation that everything can be managed in the first place. The book shifts the perspective in a powerful way. Instead of trying to master time, you must accept your limitations within it. This means recognizing that you cannot do everything, and that every choice you make comes with cost. When you say yes to one thing, you are automatically saying no to something else. For example, if you decide to spend your evening watching videos or gaming, you are choosing not to use that time for learning a new skill or working on a long-term goal. This isn't about labeling choices as right or wrong. It's about making them consciously. Most people don't struggle with time because they lack tools. They struggle because they avoid making clear, intentional decisions about what matters most. There's also an emotional side to why time management fails. Many productivity systems are built on the idea that you should always be doing something useful, always moving forward, always improving. This creates a constant sense of pressure and guilt. Even when you're resting, you might feel like you should be doing something more productive. Imagine sitting down to relax after a long day, but instead of enjoying it, your mind keeps reminding you of unfinished tasks. This is not a time problem. It's a mindset problem created by the illusion that every moment must be optimized. The book argues that this mindset actually makes life feel more rushed and less meaningful, even if you're technically getting more done. So what can you do differently? The key is to stop trying to manage time as if it were a resource you can control, and start treating it as something you must work within. Instead of creating endless to-do lists, focus on a small number of meaningful priorities. Instead of trying to eliminate all distractions, accept that interruptions are part of life. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment when everything is under control, start acting within the imperfect reality you already have. For instance, if you're building a YouTube channel, instead of trying to produce perfect videos while also mastering editing, marketing, and consistency all at once, you might choose to focus on one key improvement at a time. This reduces overwhelm and increases the chances of long-term progress. Take a moment to reflect on your own habits. How often do you feel like you're behind, no matter how much you do? How many times have you reorganized your schedule, hoping this time it will finally work? Are you trying to do too many things at once instead of focusing on what truly matters? If you continue following the same approach, will you ever feel in control, or will the cycle simply repeat? These questions are important because they shift your focus from fixing your schedule to rethinking your priorities. Main points and actionable lessons. Time management is broken because it promises control over something that is inherently uncontrollable. Becoming more efficient often leads to more work, not more free time, creating the efficiency trap. The idea that you will one day catch up is an illusion. There will always be more to do than you can handle. The real problem is not lack of discipline, but unrealistic expectations about what can be achieved. Every choice involves a trade-off, so focus on what truly matters instead of trying to do everything. Productivity systems can create guilt and pressure, making life feel rushed and less meaningful. Instead of managing time, manage your priorities by limiting your focus to a few important things. Reflect regularly. Are you trying to control time, or are you making conscious choices within it? Take action within your current reality instead of waiting for a perfect, fully organized future. The limit-embracing life is a radical shift from everything you've been taught about productivity and success. Instead of trying to overcome your limits, for 1,000 Weeks argues that a meaningful life begins the moment you accept them. Most of us live with a quiet belief that if we just try harder, plan better, or become more disciplined, we'll eventually reach a point where we can do everything that matters. But this belief is a source of constant stress, because the truth is simple and unavoidable. Your time, energy, and attention are limited, and no amount of optimization will change that. The more you resist this reality, the more overwhelmed and dissatisfied you become. Imagine someone trying to read every important book, build a successful career, maintain perfect relationships, stay fit, keep up with trends, and still have time to relax. On paper, it sounds like an ideal life. In reality, it's impossible. Yet many people keep chasing this illusion, thinking they are just one productivity hack away from making it work. This is where the idea of a limit-embracing life becomes powerful. It asks you to stop fighting your limits and start using them as a guide. Because once you accept that you can't do everything, you're finally forced to decide what truly matters. Think of it like this. If you had unlimited time, your choices wouldn't matter much. You could always do everything eventually. But because your time is limited, every choice becomes meaningful. For example, imagine you have only 2 hours in the evening. You could spend that time scrolling through social media, watching random videos, working on your YouTube channel, learning a new skill, or spending time with family. You cannot do all of these. So the question is not how to fit everything in, but which one deserves those 2 hours. This shift, from trying to do everything to choosing deliberately, is at the heart of a limit-embracing life. A role-life example can be seen in people who achieve deep satisfaction in their work or passions. They are not necessarily doing more than others. They are doing less, but with greater focus. Consider a YouTuber who decides to focus on one niche instead of chasing every trend. They might grow slower initially, but over time, they build a strong identity and loyal audience. On the other hand, someone who tries to do everything, gaming, vlogs, tech, motivation, often ends up feeling scattered and burned out. The difference is not talent or effort, it's clarity and commitment to a limited set of priorities. Another important aspect of embracing limits is accepting that you will miss out on things. This is uncomfortable because we like to believe we can keep our options open. But every time you choose one path, you are closing off others. If you decide to focus on building your channel, you might have less time for casual entertainment. If you prioritize your health, you might have to give up late-night habits. Instead of seeing this as loss, the book encourages you to see it as the price of meaning. Because a life where you try to keep everything is often a life where nothing truly matters. This idea also applies to your expectations of yourself. Many people carry an invisible burden of trying to be perfect in every area. Perfect productivity, perfect habits, perfect outcomes. But a limit-embracing life allows you to be human. Some days you will be focused, other days you won't. Some plans will work, others will fail. The goal is not perfection, but alignment, making sure your limited time is going toward things that genuinely matter to you. To apply this in your own life, start by identifying your top 3 priorities. Not 10, not even 5, just 3. These could be something like growing your YouTube channel, improving your health, and building strong relationships. Once you have clarity, begin aligning your daily actions with these priorities. This might mean saying no to distractions, reducing unnecessary commitments, and accepting that some things will not get done. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but over time, it creates a sense of direction and peace that endless busyness never can. Now pause and reflect. What are you currently trying to do that may not truly matter to you? Are you spreading your time too thin across too many goals? If you could only focus on a few things for the next year, what would they be? And most importantly, are your daily actions reflecting those priorities, or are they being consumed by distractions? Main points and actionable lessons. A meaningful life begins when you accept your limits instead of trying to overcome them. You cannot do everything, so clarity about what matters is more important than efficiency. Every choice becomes meaningful because time is limited, so choose deliberately. Focus on a small number of priorities instead of spreading yourself too thin. Accept trade-offs and missed opportunities as a cost of living a focused, meaningful life. Let go of perfection and aim for alignment between your values and your actions. Identify your top 3 priorities and align your daily schedule with them. Reflect regularly. Are you trying to do everything, or are you choosing what truly matters? Take action by saying no to distractions and committing deeply to fewer, more meaningful pursuits. The efficiency trap is one of the most eye-opening ideas in 4,000 Weeks because it exposes a paradox that most people spend their entire lives trapped inside without even realizing it. The more efficient you become, the more work you end up creating for yourself. At first, this seems counterintuitive. After all, efficiency is supposed to save time, reduce stress, and make life easier. We're constantly told that if we can just organize better, automate more, work faster, and eliminate distractions, we'll finally feel on top of things. But in reality, efficiency often has the opposite effect. Instead of freeing us, it raises expectations and fills our lives with even more demands. Think about email. Years ago, sending a letter required writing it by hand, mailing it, and waiting days or weeks for a reply. Communication was slower, but because of that, fewer messages were exchanged. Then email arrived, promising to save time and make communication easier. And it did. But what happened next? Instead of reducing workload, it multiplied it. Because now that communication is instant, people expect instant responses. Your inbox fills faster than you can clear it, and the reward for replying quickly is usually more emails waiting for you. The efficiency created a higher volume of demands. This is a trap. When something becomes easier, we often don't use the saved time to rest or focus on what matters. We simply increase the amount of activity. The same thing happens in everyday life. Imagine someone who discovers a productivity app that helps them plan their tasks perfectly. At first, they feel empowered. Their day is structured, their to-do list is organized, and they're checking off tasks faster than ever. But then something subtle happens. Because they are now more productive, they start adding more tasks. They begin setting higher expectations for themselves. What was once a manageable list of 5 tasks becomes 10, then 15. Soon, they are just as overwhelmed as before, except now they are running faster. The app didn't solve the problem. It simply expanded their capacity for business. This is similar to a highway expansion. When cities build wider roads to reduce traffic, it often works temporarily. But because the roads are now easier to use, more people start driving, and before long, congestion returns. The increased efficiency creates increased demand. The The same principle applies to your time. If you become better at completing tasks, life doesn't necessarily become calmer. More tasks rush in to fill the available space. A relatable example might be your own experience with content creation. Suppose you improve your video editing speed and can now produce a YouTube video in half the time it used to take. Initially, this feels like progress, but then the temptation appears. If one video is good, why not make two? If two are possible, why not post daily? Soon, the time you save is consumed by increased output expectations. What started as a solution becomes a source of pressure. Instead of feeling free, you feel trapped by your own improved efficiency. The deeper issue is psychological. Efficiency tricks us into believing that the problem is always that we aren't doing enough, fast enough, or well enough. It keeps us focused on optimizing methods rather than questioning goals. We rarely stop to ask whether all these tasks deserve our attention in the first place. Instead, we assume the answer is to work smarter, faster, harder. But the book argues that this mindset is fundamentally flawed because it ignores a basic truth. There will always be more things demanding your time than you can ever complete. Consider a person who finally masters Inbox 0, clears every notification, finishes every task, and reaches the end of their to-do list. What happens next? They don't suddenly enter a state of peace and fulfillment. New emails arrive, new obligations appear, new ambitions form. The finish line keeps moving. This is why chasing total efficiency is like trying to empty the ocean with a bucket. No matter how fast you work, the incoming flow never stops. The solution the book offers is surprisingly liberating. Stop trying to use efficiency as a way to conquer life's endless demands. Instead, accept that you will never get everything done and focus on choosing what matters most. This doesn't mean abandoning organization or becoming careless. It means using efficiency selectively as a tool to support meaningful priorities rather than as an endless pursuit in itself. For example, instead of asking, "How can I do more today?" ask, "Which few things are truly worth doing today?" This simple shift changes everything. If your priority is building your YouTube channel, then perhaps creating one thoughtful, high-quality video matters more than posting 3 rush ones. If your priority is health, then a consistent 30-minute workout matters more than an elaborate fitness schedule you can't sustain. You can also apply this by deliberately leaving some things undone. This may feel uncomfortable because it goes against everything modern productivity culture teaches. But choosing not to respond instantly to every message, not to chase every opportunity, and not to optimize every minute creates space for depth, focus, and sanity. It's a conscious rejection of the idea that more is always better. Reflect on your own life for a moment. Are there areas where becoming more efficient has simply caused you to take on more? Have your productivity tools reduced stress, or have they raised your expectations? Are you trying to solve overwhelm by moving faster instead of narrowing your focus? If you continue this way, where does it lead? The uncomfortable but freeing realization is that efficiency alone cannot save you. It can help with execution, but it cannot answer the more important question of what is worth executing in the first place. Only thoughtful choice can do that. Main points and actionable lessons. The efficiency trap happens when increased productivity creates increased expectations and workload. Saving time often leads to filling that time with more tasks instead of meaningful rest or focus. Tools and systems can improve execution, but they cannot solve the deeper problem of endless demands. There will always be more to do than you can complete, so chasing total control is an illusion. The key is not doing more, but choosing better. Ask yourself daily, which few tasks truly matter today? Resist the urge to fill every efficiency gain with additional work. Practice intentionally leaving low-value tasks undone. Use productivity tools to support meaningful priorities, not to maximize busyness. Reflect regularly. Am I becoming more efficient at the right things, or simply getting faster at staying overwhelmed? Facing finitude is where 4,000 weeks stops being a productivity discussion and becomes something far more personal, a confrontation with the fact that your time, your energy, and ultimately your life are limited. Most people avoid thinking about this. We stay busy, distracted, and constantly planning for the future because it feels safer than admitting that there are things we will never have time to do, paths we will never take, and versions of life we will never live. But the book argues that this avoidance is exactly what keeps us stuck. Because as long as you believe you have unlimited time, you postpone the important things. You delay meaningful work, honest conversations, and bold decisions, assuming there will always be another chance. Facing finitude breaks that illusion. Imagine a simple scenario. There are two people with similar lives. One lives as if time is endless. They keep saying, "I'll start that later. I'll fix this someday," or "I'll pursue that dream when things calm down." Years pass, but later never arrives. The other person truly understands that their time is limited, not in a dramatic or fearful way, but in a clear, grounded sense. Because of that awareness, they act differently. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They start the project now, even if it's imperfect. They reach out to people they care about instead of postponing it. They choose fewer things, but they commit more deeply. The difference between these two lives is not talent or luck. It is the willingness to face reality. One of the most powerful aspects of finitude is that it forces you to accept trade-offs. Every choice you make automatically means not choosing something else. If you decide to spend your evening working on your YouTube channel, you are not spending that time watching shows or scrolling your phone. If you choose to prioritize your health, you may need to sacrifice comfort or convenience. Many people try to avoid this discomfort by keeping their options open, but this often leads to a scattered and unfulfilled life. Facing finitude means accepting that you cannot have everything, and that a meaningful life requires choosing what matters enough to give up other possibilities. There is also a deeper emotional layer to this idea. When you truly accept that your time is limited, it can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling. But the book suggests that this discomfort is not something to escape. It is something that gives life an intensity and value. Think about moments that truly matter: a meaningful conversation, a creative breakthrough, time spent with family, or progress toward a personal goal. These moments feel significant precisely because they are limited. If you had infinite time, nothing would feel urgent or meaningful. The awareness of finitude is what turns ordinary moments into something worth paying attention to. A relatable example might be someone who has always wanted to start creating content, but keeps delaying it because they want everything to be perfect. They spend months researching, planning, and waiting for the right moment. But that moment never comes. Now imagine the same person realizing that their time is limited. Instead of waiting, they start posting videos, learning through action, and improving over time. The quality may not be perfect at first, but the progress is real. By the time others are still planning, they have already built momentum. This is a practical power of facing finitude. It pushes you from intention to action. Another example is relationships. Many people assume they will always have time to reconnect with friends or family later. But life doesn't always work that way. Opportunities pass, circumstances change, and sometimes people are no longer there. Facing finitude encourages you to treat these connections as important now, not something to be postponed. A simple message, a call, or spending time together may not seem urgent. But in the context of a limited life, these moments become deeply meaningful. To apply this idea in your life, start by identifying something important that you have been delaying. It could be a project, a habit, or a conversation. Ask yourself honestly, if you knew your time was limited, would you still postpone this? Then take a small step toward it today. You don't need a perfect plan or ideal conditions. You just need to begin. At the same time, accept that you cannot pursue everything. Choose a few priorities and give them your attention, even if it means letting other things go. Now reflect on your own situation. What are you assuming you'll have time for later? What important decisions are you avoiding because they feel uncomfortable? Are you keeping your options open at the cost of making real progress? If you continue living this way, where will you be after the next few years? And if you fully accepted that your time is limited, what would you do differently starting today? Main points and actionable lessons. Facing finitude means accepting that your time and energy are limited. Avoiding this reality leads to procrastination and postponing what truly matters. A meaningful life requires making choices and accepting trade-offs. You cannot have everything, so clarity about priorities is essential. The awareness of limited time gives life urgency, depth, and meaning. Stop waiting for perfect conditions and start taking action now. Identify one important thing you've been delaying and take the first step today. Value relationships and meaningful moments instead of assuming there will always be time later. Reflect regularly. What am I postponing? And why? Ask yourself, if my time were truly limited, what would I choose to focus on right now? Becoming a better procrastinator sounds like terrible advice at first, but in 4,000 weeks it reveals a powerful truth. Procrastination isn't something you can eliminate. It's something you must learn to use wisely. Most people believe the goal is to stop procrastinating completely, to reach a state where every task is done on time, every goal is pursued immediately, and nothing is delayed. But this is impossible because your time is limited and your list of potential tasks is endless. The real question is not whether you will procrastinate, but what you will choose to delay. In other words, you are always procrastinating something. Even when you are being productive, you are choosing one task over another, which means everything else is being postponed. The idea of becoming a better procrastinator is about making those choices consciously instead of accidentally. Think about a typical day. You sit down with a plan to complete something important, like working on your YouTube video or learning a new skill. But instead, you find yourself checking messages, scrolling social media, or doing smaller, easier tasks. At the end of the day, you feel guilty, as if you wasted your time. But look deeper, you didn't actually do nothing. You simply chose to prioritize low-effort, low-impact activities over high-impact ones. This is what the book wants you to recognize. The problem is not that you procrastinated. The problem is that you procrastinated on the wrong things. What if, instead, you deliberately procrastinated on less meaningful tasks in order to focus on what truly matters? Imagine two people. The first tries to do everything. They attempt to respond to every message, complete every small task, and keep up with every responsibility. They end up constantly busy but rarely make progress on anything meaningful. The second person accepts that they cannot do everything, so they intentionally ignore or delay low-priority tasks and focus their time on one or two important goals. They might leave emails unanswered for longer, skip unnecessary activities, or say no to certain commitments. From the outside, it may look like they are procrastinating, but in reality, they are making strategic choices. They are becoming better procrastinators. A relatable example could be a student preparing for exams. One student tries to study every subject equally, jumping between topics, trying to cover everything perfectly. They feel overwhelmed and make slow progress. Another student identifies the most important or difficult subjects and focuses deeply on them, even if it means neglecting less critical areas for a while. The second student is technically procrastinating on some subjects, but they are doing it intentionally, and their results are often better. The same principle applies to work, content creation, or any long-term goal. Progress comes not from doing everything, but from choosing what not to do. Another important insight is that procrastination is often driven by discomfort. We tend to avoid tasks that feel difficult, uncertain, or emotionally challenging. For example, starting a new project, publishing your first video, or learning complex skill can feel intimidating. So instead, you turn to easy activities that give immediate satisfaction. The book suggests that instead of trying to eliminate this discomfort, you should expect it and work with it. Understand that meaningful work will almost always feel uncomfortable at first. The goal is not to remove that feeling, but to act despite it. To apply this idea in your life, start by identifying your most important task, the one that would make the biggest difference if completed. Then, instead of trying to clear your entire to-do list, give that task your focused attention. Accept that other tasks will be delayed, and that this is not failure but a necessary trade-off. You can also create boundaries to protect your focus, such as setting specific times for checking messages or limiting distractions during deep work sessions. Over time, this approach shifts your mindset from "I need to do everything" to "I need to do what matters most." At the same time, it's important to be honest with yourself. Not all procrastination is strategic. Sometimes, you are simply avoiding what matters because it feels uncomfortable. The key is to notice the difference. Are you delaying something because it's genuinely low priority, or because it's difficult and you're afraid to start? This awareness is what turns ordinary procrastination into a useful tool. Take a moment to reflect. What are you currently procrastinating on? Is it something that truly matters, or something that can wait? Are you filling your time with easy tasks to avoid harder ones? If you could only focus on one or two things this week, what would they be? And what are you willing to delay in order to make space for them? Main points and actionable lessons. Procrastination cannot be eliminated because you cannot do everything, so you are always delaying something. The goal is to become a better procrastinator by choosing what to delay intentionally. Focus on high-impact tasks and allow low-priority tasks to wait. Doing everything leads to overwhelm, while selective focus leads to meaningful progress. Discomfort is a natural part of important work, so learn to act despite it. Identify your most important task each day and prioritize it over everything else. Set boundaries to protect your time and attention from distractions. Be honest about whether you are avoiding tasks due to low priority or fear. Reflect regularly. What am I procrastinating on, and is it the right thing to delay? Ask yourself, if I could only complete one meaningful task a day, what would it be? The watermelon problem in 4,000 weeks uses a simple but powerful image to reveal a deeper truth about modern life. The more you try to control everything, the more overwhelming life becomes. The idea comes from a humorous but striking metaphor. Imagine trying to juggle watermelons. Watermelons represent the important, heavy responsibilities in life. Work, relationships, health, personal goals, family expectations. Now imagine trying to keep all of them in the air at the same time. The more you try to manage everything perfectly, the more stressful and fragile it becomes. Eventually, something is going to drop, and the harder you try to prevent that, the more anxious and stretched you feel. Most people live as if they are constantly juggling too many watermelons, believing that the solution is better organization, more discipline, or improved time management. But the book challenges this assumption. It suggests that the problem is not that you are bad at juggling, but that you are trying to juggle too many things at once. For example, think about someone trying to balance a demanding job, side projects, fitness goals, social life, family responsibilities, and constant self-improvement. On paper, it looks admirable. In reality, it often leads to exhaustion and the feeling that nothing is ever fully under control. No matter how efficient they become, there's always another watermelon demanding attention. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of trying to keep every watermelon in the air, you consciously decide which ones actually matter most. Maybe you decide that your health and one meaningful career goal are your priority watermelons. Everything else is still important, but not everything can be actively controlled at the same time. Some things must be placed down temporarily so you can actually carry the ones that matter. This doesn't mean you abandon responsibility. It means you stop pretending that everything deserves equal attention all the time. A real-life example can be seen in content creators or students. A creator might try to manage uploading videos daily, engaging on all platforms, learning new editing skills, studying analytics, and keeping up with trends simultaneously. At first, they feel productive, but soon they become overwhelmed. Nothing feels finished properly. Another creator chooses to focus only on consistent video creation and audience connection, even if it means ignoring some trends or reducing activity elsewhere. Over time, the second creator often builds more stability and clarity, not because they are doing more, but because they are not trying to juggle everything at once. The watermelon problem also appears in daily mental habits. Many people try to mentally carry every problem in their life at the same time. They think about work stress while spending time with family, worry about future plans while trying to relax, or replay past mistakes while attempting to focus on present. This creates a constant background tension, as if the mind is always holding too many heavy objects at once. The book suggests that peace does not come from solving all problems simultaneously, but from learning to place them down, even temporarily, so you can fully engage with what is in front of you. Another important insight is that life does not require perfect balance. It requires conscious imbalance. There will always be seasons where certain areas of life take priority over others. For example, a student preparing for exams may temporarily reduce social activities. A professional building a career may sacrifice some leisure time. A creator growing a channel may focus intensely on content production. The mistake is not in choosing imbalance, but in pretending that everything can remain perfectly balanced at all times. To apply this idea in your life, start by identifying your watermelons. What are the major responsibilities or goals currently occupying your attention? Then ask yourself honestly, are you trying to carry all of them equally, or are you allowing yourself to prioritize a few? Instead of spreading your energy thin across everything, choose a small number of things to focus on deeply for a specific period. This might mean reducing commitments, saying no to new distractions, or accepting that some areas will temporarily receive less attention. It is also helpful to practice mental unloading. When you feel overwhelmed, instead of trying to fix everything in your head, write things down and separate what is urgent, important, and optional. This simple act reduces the feeling of carrying too many watermelons mentally at once. Now reflect on your own life. What are the responsibilities you are currently trying to juggle all at once? Are you expecting yourself to manage more than is realistically possible? Which areas of your life are demanding attention, and which one could be temporarily set down without serious consequences? If you continue trying to carry everything equally, what will eventually break? And if you chose to focus on just a few key watermelons, how might your stress and clarity change? Main points and actionable lessons. The watermelon problem shows that trying to manage too many important things at once leads to overwhelm. Life feels stressful not because tasks are difficult, but because too many are being handled simultaneously. You cannot carry everything equally. Trying to do so increases anxiety and reduces effectiveness. Conscious prioritization is better than forced balance across all areas of life. Some responsibilities must be temporarily set aside to focus on what matters most. Mental overload comes from trying to carry every problem at once in your mind. Writing things down and categorizing them reduces mental pressure and increases clarity. Accept that life has seasons where different priorities take focus. Identify your main watermelons and focus deeply on a limited number of goals. Reflect regularly. What am I trying to juggle that I should instead prioritize or temporarily set down? The Intimate Interrupter in 4,000 Weeks explores one of the most subtle but powerful forces that constantly steals your time: interruption. Not just external interruptions like notifications, messages, or people asking for your attention, but also internal interruptions like thoughts, worries, and impulses that pull you away from what actually matters. The book suggests that interruption is not an occasional disturbance in modern life. It is a default condition. Most people assume that if they could just eliminate distractions, they would finally be able to focus and get everything done. But the deeper truth is more uncomfortable. Interruptions are not the real problem. The real problem is how we relate to them. Imagine someone trying to focus on an important task, like writing a report, editing a video, or studying for an exam. They sit down with full intention, but within minutes, their attention is pulled away. A message appears on their phone. A thought comes up about something they forgot to do. A small feeling of boredom or discomfort arises, and suddenly they switch tasks. This cycle repeats all day. From the outside, it looks like poor discipline, but the book argues something deeper is happening. Every interruption is not just an external event. It is also an internal invitation to escape discomfort. Think about how often you interrupt yourself. You open your laptop with the intention to work on something meaningful, but instead you check social media just for a minute. You tell yourself you'll start the important task after replying to messages or watching one quick video. But that one quick interruption quietly expands into an hour or more. The interruption feels harmless, even intimate, because it offers relief from the discomfort of focus. This is why the book calls it the Intimate Interrupter, because it is not always forced upon you. Often, you welcome it. A relatable example might be a student or content creator trying to build consistency. They plan to study or create for 2 hours, but during that time, they constantly switch between tasks. They check notifications, adjust minor details, reorganize their workspace, or jump to easier activities. At the end of the session, they feel like they were busy, but very little meaningful progress was made. The interruption did not destroy their time. It gently absorbed it, one small choice at a time. Another layer of this idea is that interruptions are often emotionally comfortable. Focus requires staying with a task even when it feels slow, difficult, or uncertain. Interruption, on the other hand, offers instant relief. For example, imagine working on a challenging project. You hit a difficult point where progress slows down. Instead of pushing through, your mind suggests something easier, checking messages, watching content, or switching tasks. That shift feels like a reward in the moment, but it comes at the cost of long-term progress. The book highlights that this pattern is not a failure of discipline alone, but a deeply human tendency to avoid discomfort. In everyday life, this shows up in subtle ways. A person might sit down to spend time with family but keep checking their phone. Or they might start a meaningful task but repeatedly pause it for small distractions. Even positive-seeming interruptions, like organizing minor details or multitasking, can pull attention away from what truly matters. The problem is not interruption itself, but the belief that we can keep switching attention without consequences. The book suggests a different approach. Instead of trying to eliminate all interruptions, you must learn to notice them and gently resist their pull. This does not mean becoming rigid or unreachable. It means becoming more intentional about what deserves your attention in each moment. For example, if you decide to work on something important, you might consciously set aside a block of time where interruptions are minimized. During that time, you accept the discomfort of focus instead of escaping it. Over time, this builds the ability to stay with meaningful work even when it feels challenging. To apply this in your own life, start by observing how often you interrupt yourself. Notice the moments when you shift away from important tasks toward easier or more comfortable activities. Instead of judging yourself, simply become aware of the pattern. Then experiment with short periods of uninterrupted focus. Even 20 to 30 minutes of fully engaged work without switching tasks can reveal how much more progress you can make when interruptions are reduced. You can also reduce external interruptions by setting boundaries, such as turning off notifications or creating dedicated focus time. Now reflect on your own behavior. How often do you start important tasks but get pulled away within minutes? Are your interruptions mostly external, or are you also interrupting yourself? What feelings usually appear right before you switch away from focus? Boredom, discomfort, anxiety, or impatience? If you continued allowing these interruptions unchecked for the next year, what would your progress look like? And if you learned to stay with discomfort instead of escaping it, how much more meaningful work could you complete? Main points and actionable lessons. The intimate interrupter is not just external distractions, but also your own tendency to escape discomfort. Interruptions feel harmless in the moment, but significantly reduce meaningful progress over time. Most interruptions are driven by avoidance of difficulty, boredom, or uncertainty. Focus requires tolerating discomfort instead of constantly seeking relief through switching tasks. Self-interruption is often more damaging than external distractions. Becoming aware of interruption patterns is the first step to changing them. Create intentional blocks of time where you reduce or eliminate interruptions. Practice staying with one task even when it feels slow or uncomfortable. Reflect regularly. When and why do I interrupt myself during important work? Ask yourself, what would change if I stopped escaping discomfort and stayed focused a little longer each time? We never really have time in 4,000 weeks challenges one of the most deeply ingrained assumptions in modern life. The belief that time is something we actually possess, control, or manage. We constantly say things like, I don't have time, I'll make time, or I need to find time, as if time is a resource sitting somewhere that we can collect, organize, and deploy at will. But the book argues that this is an illusion. You never truly have time in your hands. You only ever experience it as it passes. The moment you try to treat time like something you can fully control, you create stress, because reality never matches that expectation. Think about how often you feel behind. You wake up with a mental list of things you want to do, but by the end of the day, only a fraction of them are complete. You might tell yourself, I didn't have time. But in reality, time was always there. What was missing was not time itself, but the ability to do everything you planned within it. This distinction is subtle but powerful. The book suggests that the feeling of not having enough time comes not from a shortage of time, but from trying to fit an infinite number of expectations into a finite number of hours. Imagine a student preparing for exams. They plan to study multiple subjects, revise notes, practice questions, and also stay active on social media to relax. At the end of the day, they feel frustrated and think they didn't have enough time. But if you look closely, time was not the issue. The issue was that more tasks were assigned to the day than could realistically fit into it. Now imagine another student who accepts that they cannot do everything. They choose fewer subjects to focus on each day and commit fully to them. They still have the same 24 hours, but their experience of time feels less chaotic and more meaningful. The difference is not time, it is expectation. Another way to understand this is through everyday life. A working professional might say they don't have time to exercise, read, or spend time with family. But in reality, their day is already filled with activities. Wake, commuting, eating, scrolling, and resting. The truth is not that time is missing, but that priorities are competing for limited space. When everything is treated as equally important, nothing truly fits. This creates a constant feeling of running out of time, even though time itself is always present. The book also highlights a deeper psychological pattern. We tend to treat future time as if it will be more flexible than present time. We tell ourselves, "I'll do it later when I have time," assuming that future versions of ourselves will somehow be less busy or more capable. But when that future arrives, it looks exactly like the present, already full, already demanding, already limited. For example, someone might delay starting a fitness routine, believing they will have more time next month. But next month arrives with the same work pressure, the same responsibilities, and the same lack of space. The illusion continues, and the cycle repeats. This creates a subtle but constant tension. We live as if we should be able to fit everything in, while simultaneously experiencing that we cannot. The result is guilt, frustration, and the feeling of always being behind. The book suggests that this emotional pressure does not come from laziness or poor planning, but from a misunderstanding of what time actually is. Time is not something you have. It is something you live inside of, moment by moment, with unavoidable limits. To apply this idea in real life, start by changing how you relate to your daily expectations. Instead of saying, "I need to find time for this," ask, "Does this realistically fit into my limited day?" This small shift forces honesty. You can also begin planning your day with fewer tasks, not more. Instead of trying to maximize productivity, focus on choosing a small number of meaningful actions. For example, instead of planning 10 tasks, choose 3 that truly matter and accept that the rest will not fit today. This reduces pressure and increases focus. Another practical approach is to stop treating unfinished tasks as personal failure. If something doesn't get done, it is not because you ran out of time, but because more was expected than was possible. This reframing reduces guilt and helps you make better decisions about what to prioritize next. Now reflect on your own life. How often do you say you don't have time, when in reality your day is simply full? Are you trying to fit more into your schedule than is realistically possible? Do you believe future time will be easier to manage than present time? What would change if you fully accepted that your time is always limited, not occasionally limited? And if you planned your day based on reality instead of expectation, how different would your stress and focus feel? Main points and actionable lessons. Time is not something you possess or control. You only experience it as it passes. The feeling of not having enough time comes from unrealistic expectations, not a literal shortage of time. Every day has fixed limits, so not everything can fit no matter how efficient you are. Future time is not more flexible than present time. It is equally limited. Constantly trying to fit everything into your day leads to stress and frustration. Reduce daily expectations and focus on a small number of meaningful tasks. Replace "I don't have time" with "This does not fit into my priorities right now." Stop treating unfinished tasks as personal failure and see them as natural limits. Plan your day based on reality, not ideal assumptions. Reflect regularly. Am I overestimating what I can realistically do in a day? Ask yourself, if I accepted my time as always limited, how would I choose to spend it differently today? You Are Here in 4,000 Weeks is a powerful reminder that life is always happening in the only place it ever can, the present moment. Yet most people rarely live here mentally. Instead, they are constantly pulled away, regretting the past, worrying about the future, or chasing an imagined version of life where everything is finally under control. The book challenges this habit by showing that the feeling of being behind or not where you should be is not a reflection of reality, but a mental illusion created by comparison and expectation. You are always already here, but your mind keeps insisting you should be somewhere else. Think about a normal day. You might be sitting at your desk, but mentally you are replaying something you should have done differently yesterday or worrying about tomorrow's tasks. Even when you are physically present in a moment, your attention is often somewhere else entirely. For example, imagine someone spending time with family but mentally checking work messages, or trying to relax but thinking about unfinished tasks. The body is here, but the mind is elsewhere. This creates a strained feeling of never fully living your life, even while it is actively happening. The book suggests that this constant mental travel between regret and anticipation is one of the main reasons modern life feels so unsatisfying. We are rarely fully engaged with what is directly in front of us. Instead, we measure our present against an ideal future version of life where everything is finally organized, successful, and stress-free. But that version never arrives, because as soon as we reach one goal, another appears. So the mind keeps leaving the present in search of a better version of it. Imagine a content creator who is constantly thinking, I'll enjoy this once my channel grows, or I'll feel satisfied once I reach 10,000 subscribers. While working toward that goal, they rarely allow themselves to fully appreciate the current stage of growth. Even when progress happens, it feels incomplete because attention is always directed forward. As a result, the present moment never feels enough, even when meaningful progress is already happening. Another relatable example is a student who believes life will begin after exams, or after graduation, or after landing a job. While studying, they feel like they are waiting for life to start. But years pass in this waiting state, and the present moment is never fully experienced. Later, they may look back and realize that much of their life was spent anticipating life rather than living it. This is a core tension the book highlights. We keep postponing presence. You Are Here is not about ignoring goals or responsibilities. It is about recognizing that life is not waiting for you in some future version of yourself. It is already happening, even in ordinary or imperfect conditions. The challenge is to stop treating the present as a temporary stage before real life begins. Whether you are working, resting, learning, or struggling, that is your life, not a pause between meaningful moments. The book also points out that being present does not mean everything feels perfect or easy. In fact, many present moments include discomfort, boredom, or uncertainty. But resisting those experiences often pushes us further into mental escape. For example, when a task feels difficult, the mind quickly shifts to distraction. When life feels uncertain, the mind jumps into planning and worrying. But true presence involves staying with reality as it is, without constantly trying to mentally escape it. To apply this idea in your life, start by noticing how often your mind leaves the present moment. During conversations, wake, or even rest, observe when your attention shifts to past regrets or future worries. Instead of judging yourself, simply bring your attention back to what is actually happening right now. You can also practice focusing fully on one activity at a time, even for short periods. For example, when editing a video, eating, or walking, try to do only that activity without multitasking or mental wandering. Over time, this builds the ability to actually arrive in your own life. Another practical step is to reduce the habit of comparing your current life to a future ideal version. Instead of thinking, I will be satisfied when I reach X, try asking, what is already meaningful in this moment that I am overlooking? This shifts attention from lack to presence. Now reflect on your own experience. How often are you physically in a moment but mentally somewhere else? Are you living your days or constantly waiting for a better version of them to begin? When was the last time you fully experienced a simple moment without trying to escape it or improve it? If nothing in your external life changed, but you learned to stay fully present, how different would your experience of life feel? Main points and actionable lessons. You are here means life only ever exists in the present moment, not in the past or future. Most dissatisfaction comes from mentally leaving the present to compare or escape it. The mind often treats life as something that will start later, not something happening now. Goals and future plans can distract from appreciating current progress and experiences. Presence does not mean perfection. It means fully experiencing what is already happening. Multitasking and constant mental shifting reduce the quality of lived experience. Practice returning attention to the present during daily activities. Reduce comparisons between current life and imagined future versions. Notice when your mind escapes the present through regret or worry. Reflect regularly. Am I living this moment or waiting for a better one? Ask yourself, what would change if I treated this exact moment as my actual life, not a placeholder for something better? Rediscovering rest in 4,000 Weeks challenges one of the most deeply misunderstood ideas in modern life, that rest is something you earn after being productive enough, instead of something essential to how you live. Most people treat rest as a reward, a pause button, or even a guilty pleasure that interrupts real work. But the book argues that this mindset is exactly why so many people feel exhausted even when they are technically not working all the time. Rest is not the opposite of productivity. It is part of a meaningful life. Without it, even success starts to feel empty. Think about a typical week. Many people push through work, studies, or responsibilities with a mindset of, I'll rest later. They delay relaxation until the weekend, or until a project is finished, or until life becomes less busy. But when that moment finally arrives, rest often doesn't feel satisfying. Instead, the mind stays active, thinking about what still needs to be done, worrying about upcoming tasks, or feeling guilty for not being productive. So even during rest, there's no real rest. It becomes just another form of low-quality time filled with mental noise. Imagine a student preparing for exams who studies late into the night without breaks, believing that rest is wasted time. Or a content creator who keeps working on videos continuously, thinking that stopping will slow their growth. In both cases, the intention is improvement, but the result is often burnout, reduced focus, and declining creativity. When the mind and body are never given space to recover, performance eventually drops. Rest is not a distraction from progress. It is what makes sustained progress possible. The book also explores how modern culture has subtly distorted the meaning of rest. Even when people do rest, they often turn it into something productive. Watching a show becomes multitasking, scrolling becomes catching up, and even hobbies can feel like tasks that should be optimized. This creates a strange situation where nothing feels like true rest anymore. You are either working, or you are pretending to rest while still mentally working. A relatable example is someone who finishes a long day and sits down to relax, but instead of actually unwinding, they scroll endlessly through their phone, switching between apps, videos, and messages. Their body is still, but their mind is overstimulated. After an hour, they feel more drained than before. This is not rest. It is just another form of fragmented attention. True rest requires stepping away from constant stimulation and allowing the mind to settle. The book suggests that rest should be seen as a deliberate and valuable part of life, not something that only happens when everything else is finished. For example, a creator who intentionally takes breaks between work sessions often produces better, more creative content than someone who works nonstop. A student who studies with proper rest intervals retains more information than someone who pushes through exhaustion. Rest is not a delay in progress. It is part of the process itself. Another important idea is that rest cannot always be perfectly optimized. You do not need the perfect way to rest. Sometimes rest is simply sitting quietly, taking a walk, spending time without a goal, or allowing yourself to do something purely for enjoyment without measuring its usefulness. The pressure to make even rest productive defeats its purpose. To apply this in your life, start by redefining what rest means for you. Instead of waiting until everything is done, schedule rest intentionally as part of your routine. Even short breaks during the day can improve focus and energy. When you rest, try to fully disengage from work-related thoughts instead of mentally multitasking. You can also observe whether your rest activities are truly relaxing or just another form of stimulation that keeps your mind busy. Another practical step is to remove guilt from rest. When you take a break, remind yourself that rest is not something you need to justify. It is not a reward, it is a requirement for functioning well. Over time, this shift allows rest to actually restore you instead of draining you further. Now reflect on your own habits. Do you see rest as something you must earn, or something you are allowed to have regularly? When was the last time you truly rested without feeling guilty or mentally occupied with work? Are your current rest activities actually helping you recover, or are they just another form of distraction? If you continue treating rest as optional, how long before exhaustion affects your performance and well-being? And if you began respecting rest as essential, how might your energy, focus, and creativity change? Main points and actionable lessons. Rest is not a reward for productivity. It is essential for sustained performance and well-being. Delaying rest until everything is finished leads to burnout and reduced effectiveness. Modern distractions often replace true rest with overstimulation instead of recovery. Rest should be intentional, not something that happens only when work is done. True rest requires mental disengagement, not just physical pause. Productivity improves when rest is built into the process, not added afterward. You do not need to optimize rest. Simple, undirected downtime is enough. Remove guilt from resting and accept it as a necessary part of life. Schedule regular breaks instead of waiting for exhaustion to force them. Reflect regularly. Am I actually resting or just switching forms of stimulation? Ask yourself, what would change if I treated rest as essential instead of optional in my daily life? The impatient spiral in 4,000 weeks describes a subtle but powerful trap that most people fall into without even realizing it. The more impatient you become with life, the more rushed and dissatisfied your experience of life becomes, which in turn makes you even more impatient. It is a self-reinforcing loop where the desire for faster results actually makes everything feel slower, harder, and more frustrating. At its core, impatience is not just about wanting things quickly, it is about rejecting the natural pace at which meaningful things unfold. Think about everyday life. You open your phone and wait for an app to load. If it takes even a few seconds, you feel irritated. You click a video, and if it doesn't grab your attention immediately, you switch to another one. You start learning a new skill, but if progress feels slow, you assume something is wrong and consider quitting. This constant demand for speed creates a hidden tension in everything you do. Instead of experiencing the process, you are always trying to skip ahead to the result. But the more you try to rush through life, the more life feels like it is resisting you. Imagine someone working on a long-term goal like building a YouTube channel or learning video editing. In the beginning, progress is naturally slow, but impatience makes them feel like they should already be further ahead. They compare themselves to others who have been doing it longer or who appear more successful. This comparison creates frustration, which leads them to push harder, change strategies too quickly, or give up prematurely. Ironically, the more impatient they become, the less consistent they are, and the less progress they actually make. The spiral continues. Impatience leads to inconsistency. Inconsistency leads to slower results, and slower results increase impatience. A relatable example can be seen in fitness. Someone starts going to the gym expecting quick results. After a week or two, they don't see dramatic changes, so they become discouraged. Instead of understanding that physical transformation takes time, they increase pressure on themselves or abandon the routine entirely. Another person, with the same goal, accepts the slow nature of progress. They continue training steadily without obsessing over immediate results. Over time, they see consistent improvement. The difference is not effort alone, it is the ability to tolerate slowness without spiraling into frustration. The book explains that impatience is often rooted in a deeper discomfort with uncertainty and lack of control. When you don't see immediate results, the mind starts to panic. It assumes that something is wrong or that progress is not happening fast enough. To escape this discomfort, you rush, switch strategies, or abandon the task entirely. But meaningful things in life, skills, relationships, careers, creative work, do not respond well to urgency. They unfold gradually, often in ways that cannot be accelerated without losing quality. Think of relationships as another example. If you rush emotional connection, expect instant closeness, or demand immediate understanding, the relationship often becomes strained. Trust takes time. Depth takes time. But impatience creates pressure that disrupts natural growth. The same applies to personal development. You cannot force confidence, discipline, or mastery to appear instantly. They are built through repetition over time, not speed. The impatience spiral also affects how you experience daily life. When you are constantly impatient, even small delays feel unbearable. Waiting in traffic, loading screens, or slow responses from others become sources of frustration. Life starts to feel like an obstacle course rather than an experience. But when impatience is reduced, the same situations feel different. Waiting becomes neutral rather than painful. Time feels less like an enemy and more like a space you are moving through. To apply this idea in your life, start by noticing where impatience shows up most often. Is it in your work, your learning, your relationships, or your daily routines? Instead of reacting immediately to frustration, pause and observe the feeling without acting on it. Remind yourself that meaningful progress is naturally slow and cannot be forced into instant results. You can also set realistic expectations for long-term goals, focusing on consistency rather than speed. For example, instead of expecting rapid success in a project, commit to showing up regularly regardless of immediate outcomes. Another practical step is to reduce comparison. Much of impatience comes from comparing your current stage to someone else's finished results. When you remove that comparison, your own pace becomes easier to accept. You begin to measure progress by consistency rather than speed. Now reflect on your own experience. Where in your life do you feel most impatient right now? What expectations are you placing on yourself that might be unrealistic in terms of timing? How do you usually respond when progress feels slow? Do you persist or do you switch directions? If you stop demanding immediate results, how would your experience of your goals change? And if you fully accepted that meaningful progress is slow, would you be more consistent or less anxious? Main points and actionable lessons. The impatience spiral is a cycle where impatience leads to frustration, which leads to rushed decisions, which lead to slower progress and even more impatience. Most meaningful goals naturally require time and cannot be accelerated without loss of quality. Impatience is often driven by discomfort with uncertainty and lack of immediate control. Constant urgency makes life feel stressful and reduces the quality of both work and experience. Comparison with others intensifies impatience and leads to inconsistency. Slowing down mentally improves consistency and long-term results. Focus on steady effort rather than fast outcomes. Reduce comparison and measure progress by consistency, not speed. Observe impatience without immediately reacting to it. Reflect regularly. Where am I rushing? And what is the cost of that urgency? Ask yourself, if I accepted that progress is naturally slow, how would I change the way I approach my goals today? Staying on the bus in 4,000 weeks is a powerful metaphor for one of the most difficult challenges in modern life, the ability to stay committed to a path long enough for it to actually lead somewhere meaningful. The idea is simple but uncomfortable. When you board a bus toward a destination, you don't constantly jump off just because the journey feels slow, boring, or uncertain. You stay on it until it reaches where it is going. But in life, people constantly get off the bus too early, abandoning goals, relationships, projects, or habits the moment they stop feeling exciting or immediately rewarding. The book suggests that this habit of premature quitting is one of the main reasons people feel stuck, even when they are constantly starting new things. Think about how often this happens in everyday life. Someone decides to learn a skill like video editing, fitness, or a new language. At first, motivation is high. Everything feels fresh and exciting. But after a few weeks, progress slows down. The work becomes repetitive, difficult, or even boring. Instead of continuing, the person assumes they chose the wrong path and switches to something else. Maybe they start another course, another fitness plan, or another creative project. Each time, they board a new bus, excited about the beginning, but rarely stay long enough to reach any destination. Over time, they accumulate many beginnings but very few completions. A relatable example can be seen in content creation. Imagine someone starting a YouTube channel. They upload a few videos, but early results are slow, few views, limited engagement, and no immediate success. Instead of continuing consistently, they decide the niche is wrong or the strategy isn't working. So they start over with a new idea, then another, and another. Each new start feels hopeful, but because they keep getting off the bus too early, they never allow enough time for growth, learning, and compounding effort to take effect. Meanwhile, others who may not be more talented, but simply stay consistent longer, eventually see results. The book emphasizes that modern life encourages constant switching. We are surrounded by endless options, new opportunities, and the illusion that something better is always available if we just try something else. This creates a subtle pressure to abandon anything that feels slow or imperfect. But meaningful progress rarely feels exciting in the middle. The beginning is motivating, and the end is rewarding, but the middle is often uncomfortable, repetitive, and uncertain. This middle phase is where most people quit. Imagine a student learning a difficult subject. In the beginning, everything feels understandable and manageable. Then comes a phase where concepts become complex and confusing. At this point, many students lose confidence and assume they are not capable, when in reality, they are simply in the natural middle stage of learning. If they stayed on the bus a little longer, clarity would eventually emerge. But because they leave too early, they never reach that stage. Another example is relationships. In the early stage, everything feels exciting and effortless. But over time, challenges appear, misunderstandings, differences, or emotional effort. Many people interpret this as a sign that something is wrong and leave, instead of recognizing that deeper connection requires staying through complexity. Those who stay and work through difficulties often develop stronger, more meaningful bonds. Staying on the bus is not about blindly sticking with everything forever. It is about giving things enough time to reveal their true potential before deciding they are not worth it. Most people evaluate their choices too early, based on initial discomfort or lack of immediate results. But the book argues that almost everything meaningful in life, skills, careers, relationships, creative work requires a long period of unglamorous persistence before results become visible. To apply this idea in your life, start by identifying areas where you tend to quit early. Is it learning new skills, sticking to routines, or pursuing long-term projects? Instead of constantly restarting, commit to staying on one bus for a defined period, even when motivation drops. You can also shift your focus from immediate results to consistency. For example, instead of asking, "Is this working yet?" ask, "Have I stayed long enough for it to work?" Another practical step is to normalize discomfort during the middle phase of any goal. When things feel boring or slow, recognize that this is not a sign of failure, but a natural part of progress. The key is not to chase excitement, but to build endurance for the unglamorous middle. Now reflect on your own life. How many times have you abandoned something just before it might have started to work? Do you tend to confuse early difficulty with failure? What goals or project are you currently on that you might be tempted to quit too early? If you stay consistent for longer than usual, what might become possible? And most importantly, are you willing to remain on the bus long enough to see where it leads? Main points and actionable lessons. Staying on the bus means committing long enough to a path for it to show real results. Most people quit too early due to lack of immediate feedback or discomfort in the middle phase. The middle of any meaningful journey is usually slow, boring, and uncertain, but essential for progress. Constantly switching goals leads to many beginnings but few real outcomes. Modern life encourages frequent switching, which weakens long-term commitment. Real growth requires staying through discomfort and delay without immediate validation. Evaluate progress based on consistency over time, not early results. Normalize the uncomfortable middle phase of learning, work, and relationships. Commit to staying with one goal long enough before deciding to abandon it. Reflect regularly. Am I quitting too early, or am I truly giving this enough time? Ask yourself, if I stayed on this path longer than I usually do, what could I achieve that I currently cannot see? The Loneliness of the Digital Nomad in 4,000 Weeks explores a paradox behind the modern dream of freedom. The more you try to escape fixed places, routines, and commitments, the more disconnected and isolated life can quietly become. The idea of being a digital nomad is often portrayed as the ultimate lifestyle, working from anywhere, traveling freely, and never being tied down. But the book challenges the hidden emotional cost of this constant movement. When you are always optimizing for flexibility, you often lose the deeper structures that create belonging, stability, and meaningful relationships. Think about what it actually means to live without fixed anchors. At first, it sounds exciting. New cities, new experiences, new opportunities every few weeks or months. But over time, something subtle begins to happen. Relationships become temporary. Conversations remain surface level because you know they won't last long. Friendships form quickly but dissolve just as fast. Even familiar routines disappear. You are always surrounded by novelty, but rarely surrounded by continuity. And without continuity, a quiet form of loneliness begins to appear. Not the obvious kind, but the kind that exists even when your life looks full from the outside. Imagine someone working remotely while traveling from one country to another every few weeks. In one place, they meet new people, explore new environments, and enjoy the excitement of change. But just as they start to feel comfortable somewhere, it is time to leave again. They never stay long enough to build deep connections, join a community, or become known by others. Over time, life becomes a series of short chapters with no long-term narrative. Everything is interesting, but nothing feels rooted. A relatable example can also be seen in everyday digital life, even without travel. Someone might constantly switch online communities, social platforms, or social circles in search of better experiences. They join new groups, follow new trends, and engage with new people, but rarely stay long enough for relationships to deepen. As a result, they may feel socially active but emotionally disconnected. There is constant interaction, but little sense of belonging. The book suggests that this loneliness is not accidental. It is built into the pursuit of total flexibility. When you optimize your life for freedom from constraints, you also remove the structures that naturally create intimacy and depth. Long-term relationships, whether friendships, work communities, or even local environments, require a degree of stability. They grow through repeated interaction over time, not through constant change. Without repetition and continuity, there is no space for familiarity to develop into trust. Think about traditional communities or long-term workplaces. Even though they may feel less free in a modern sense, they often provide something that constant mobility cannot: recognition, shared history, and deeper understanding between people. When you stay in one place long enough, you begin to form a shared narrative with others. People know you, remember you, and build memories with you. These experiences create a sense of being anchored in something larger than yourself. The book does not argue against freedom or travel, but it questions the assumption that more mobility automatically leads to a better life. For example, a person might believe that constantly changing environments will help them find themselves. But in practice, constantly changing environments can make it harder to understand who you are, because identity is often shaped through stable relationships, routines, and repeated experiences. Without these, everything becomes temporary, including your sense of self. To apply this idea in your own life, you don't need to stop exploring or traveling, but you can become more intentional about where you choose to stay longer. Instead of constantly switching interests, communities, or projects, consider committing more deeply to fewer things. For example, instead of joining multiple online spaces and leaving quickly, invest time in one or two where you can actually build connections. Instead of frequently changing goals or environments, give certain aspects of your life enough time to develop depth. Another practical step is to evaluate whether your current lifestyle supports connection or constant change. Ask yourself whether your routines, friendships, and commitments allow for repetition and familiarity, or whether they are constantly being reset. Even small changes, like regularly spending time with the same people or returning to the same activities, can create a stronger sense of belonging. Now reflect on your own experience. Do you feel more connected or more scattered in your current lifestyle? How often do you leave situations, groups, or projects before they have time to deepen? Are you trading stability for variety without realizing what might be lost in the process? If your life continues to prioritize constant change, what kind of emotional experience might that create over time? And if you chose to stay longer in fewer places, how might your sense of belonging change? Main points and actionable lessons. Constant mobility and flexibility can create emotional disconnection and subtle loneliness. Deep relationships and belonging require stability, repetition, and time. A life optimized only for freedom may lack continuity and meaningful connection. Constantly switching environments, communities, or interests prevents depth from forming. Identity and self-understanding often develop through long-term stability, not constant change. Staying longer in fewer places allows relationships and experiences to deepen. Choose fewer communities, goals, or commitments and engage with them more deeply. Balance exploration with intentional staying to build meaningful connections. Reflect regularly. Am I prioritizing freedom at the cost of connection? Ask yourself, what parts of my life will become richer if I stop constantly moving on too quickly? Cosmic insignificance therapy in 4,000 weeks begins with a thought that can feel uncomfortable at first but ultimately liberating. In the vast scale of the universe, your life is incredibly small, temporary, and insignificant. Instead of using this idea to create despair, the book reframes as a form of emotional relief. Most modern anxiety comes from the pressure to make life count in some grand, extraordinary way, to be successful, productive, impressive, or endlessly improving. But when you zoom out far enough, none of these pressures hold the same weight. Your existence is not meant to solve everything, achieve everything, or leave a perfect legacy. It is simply meant to be lived within its limited frame. At first, this idea can feel unsettling. People often resist the thought of insignificance because they associate it with meaninglessness. But the book makes a surprising argument. Recognizing your cosmic insignificance does not reduce meaning in life. It removes unrealistic pressure from it. Imagine standing under a night sky filled with billions of stars. In that moment, your daily worries, unfinished tasks, social comparisons, career anxieties suddenly feel much smaller. Not because they disappear, but because they are put into perspective. You are not the center of the universe, and you are not required to be. Think about someone who constantly feels a need to optimize every aspect of their life. They want perfect productivity, perfect health, perfect relationships, and a flawless trajectory toward success. Every mistake feels like failure. Every delay feels like falling behind. This creates a constant internal pressure where life never feels good enough. Now imagine that same person adopting the mindset of cosmic insignificance. Instead of asking, "Am I doing everything perfectly?" they begin asking, "Does this actually matter in the grand scale of existence, or am I placing unnecessary pressure on myself?" This shift does not make them careless. It makes them calmer and more selective about what deserves their attention. A relatable example could be a student or content creator who feels overwhelmed by comparison. They constantly measure themselves against others who seem more successful, more productive, or more talented. This comparison creates anxiety and self-doubt. But when they step back and recognize the vastness of time, space, and human experience, the urgency of comparison begins to lose its grip. It becomes clearer that no single person's progress is as monumental as it feels in the moment. Everyone is simply moving through their own limited span of weeks, trying to make sense of their own path. The book also explores how cosmic insignificance can reduce fear of failure. Many people avoid taking action because they are afraid of not being good enough, not succeeding, or not being recognized. But when you understand that the universe does not evaluate your performance, failure becomes less emotionally heavy. For example, someone might hesitate to start a YouTube channel because they fear judgment or low performance. But when viewed through a lens of cosmic insignificance, the pressure to be perfect or universally successful fades. The focus shifts from external validation to personal expression and experience. This perspective also helps with everyday stress. Small inconveniences, delays, mistakes, misunderstandings often feel much larger than they actually are because we treat them as central to our identity and worth. But in a broader context, they are just passing moments in a much larger flow of time. A bad day does not define your life. A missed opportunity does not erase your entire future. When you zoom out, the emotional intensity of these events softens, allowing you to respond with more clarity and less panic. However, the book is careful not to use cosmic insignificance as an excuse for passivity. Instead, it uses it as a way to free you from unnecessary pressure so you can focus more intentionally on what actually matters to you. If you are not required to be everything or achieve everything, then you are free to choose a few meaningful things and engage with them deeply. Meaning does not come from universal importance. It comes from focused attention and personal commitment within your limited life. To apply this idea in your life, start by noticing where you place excessive pressure on yourself. Ask whether your stress comes from the actual importance of a task or from a belief that everything must be done perfectly or meaningfully on a cosmic scale. You can also practice mentally zooming out when feeling overwhelmed, reminding yourself that this moment, while important to you, is not the center of the universe. This does not invalidate your feelings. It simply places them in a broader perspective. Another practical step is to reduce perfectionism. Instead of trying to make everything extraordinary, allow some things to simply be good enough. This frees energy for the areas of life that truly matter to you. For example, your creative work, relationships, or personal growth can receive deeper attention when you are not trying to elevate every single action to perfection. Now reflect on your own experience. How often do you feel pressure to make your life significant or impressive? Does comparison with others increase your stress or clarity? What tasks or worries feel important only because you are zoomed in too closely on them? If you stepped back and viewed your life from a much wider perspective, which pressures would shrink in importance? And if you truly accepted that you are not the center of the universe, what would you stop worrying about today? Main points and actionable lessons. Cosmic insignificance means your life is small in the vast scale of the universe, but this is freeing rather than depressing. Much of modern stress comes from trying to make life feel more significant than it needs to be. Zooming out reduces the emotional weight of failures, comparisons, and daily stress. No1 is required to be perfect, successful, or universally important. Failure and imperfection lose their emotional intensity when viewed in a broader perspective. Meaning comes from focused attention, not from cosmic importance. Let go of perfectionism and allow good enough in many areas of life. Use perspective shifts to reduce anxiety during overwhelming situations. Focus energy on a few meaningful priorities instead of trying to elevate everything. Reflect regularly. Am I overestimating the importance of this problem in the bigger picture? Ask yourself, if I viewed my life from a cosmic perspective, what would I stop stressing about immediately? Accept your limits. In 4,000 Weeks brings together one of the most uncomfortable but freeing truths in the entire book. You are not meant to do everything, be everything, or experience everything. Modern life constantly pushes the idea that with enough effort, optimization, and discipline, you can overcome your limitations and eventually reach a state where nothing is left undone. But the book argues the opposite. Limitation is not a temporary obstacle to be solved. It is a permanent condition of being human. You will always have limited time, limited energy, and limited attention. And the moment you accept this, life becomes less like an impossible race and more like a series of intentional choices. Most people spend their lives resisting limits instead of working with them. They try to fit more into their schedule than is realistically possible, hoping that someday they will catch up. But that day never comes. For example, think about someone trying to balance a demanding job, personal growth goals, fitness routines, social obligations, and entertainment all at once. No matter how efficient they become, they still feel behind. This is because the problem is not lack of effort. It is denial of limitation. When you refuse to accept that your capacity is finite, everything starts to feel like failure, even when you are doing your best. Imagine a content creator who wants to grow quickly. They try to upload frequently, stay active on every platform, learn advanced editing, follow trends, and engage with every comment. At first, it feels like ambition, but soon it turns into exhaustion. Nothing feels fully done, and everything feels urgent. Now imagine another creator who accepts their limits. They decide to focus on one platform, one style of content, and a realistic posting schedule. They are not doing less because they lack ambition. They are doing less because they understand their boundaries. Over time, this clarity often leads to better consistency, higher quality, and less burnout. The book emphasizes that accepting limits does not mean giving up on growth or ambition. It means redefining what success looks like. Instead of measuring success by how much you can fit into your life, you begin measuring it by how intentionally you are using your limited time. For example, a student might realize they cannot master every subject perfectly. Instead of trying to do everything equally well, they focus more deeply on the subject that matter most for their goals. This does not reduce their potential. It actually increases their effectiveness. Another important insight is that many forms of stress come from fighting reality rather than working within it. When you accept your limits, you stop wasting energy on impossible expectations. For instance, you cannot be available to everyone at all times. You cannot respond to every message instantly, pursue every opportunity, or maintain perfect balance in every area of life. Trying to do so only creates constant guilt and exhaustion. But when you accept that you will inevitably leave some things undone, you begin to choose more consciously what deserves your attention. This idea also applies to emotional expectations. Many people struggle because they believe they should always feel motivated, productive, or in control. But human experience naturally includes fatigue, confusion, and inconsistency. Accepting these emotional limits reduces self-judgment. Instead of thinking, I should be doing more, you begin to understand this is what I can realistically do today. To apply this in your life, start by identifying where you are resisting your limits. Are you trying to fit too many goals into your schedule? Are you expecting yourself to perform at full capacity in every area of life simultaneously? Begin by narrowing your focus. Choose a few key priorities and accept that everything else will not receive equal attention. This is not failure, it is clarity. You can also set realistic boundaries for your time, such as fixed work hours, limited commitments, and intentional rest periods. Another practical step is to regularly ask yourself whether your expectations match your actual capacity. If they do not, adjust the expectations instead of increasing pressure on yourself. This shift reduces unnecessary stress and creates space for sustainable progress. Now reflect on your own situation. Where are you currently acting as if your limits do not exist? What would your life look like if you stopped trying to do everything and instead focused only on what truly matters? How much of your stress comes from unrealistic expectations rather than actual workload? If you fully accepted your limits today, what would you stop trying to control? And what would you finally have space to focus on properly? Main points and actionable lessons. Accepting your limits means recognizing that time, energy, and attention are always finite. Resisting limits lead to overwhelm, frustration, and a constant feeling of falling behind. Success should be measured by intentional focus, not by how much you can do. Trying to do everything leads to burnout. Choosing fewer priorities leads to clarity. You cannot meet every expectation or opportunity, so conscious selection is necessary. Emotional fluctuations and imperfect performance are normal human limits. Stop fighting reality and start working within your actual capacity. Narrow your focus to a few meaningful priorities instead of spreading yourself thin. Set realistic boundaries for time, energy, and commitments. Reflect regularly. Am I expecting more from myself than is realistically possible? Ask yourself, if I fully accepted my limits, what would I stop doing and what would I finally focus on deeply? Focus on what truly matters in 4,000 weeks is a direct challenge to the way most people try to live their lives, as if everything is equally important and must be handled at once. The book argues that the core problem of modern life is not lack of productivity, but lack of clarity. Because your time is limited, your attention becomes your most valuable resource, and whatever you choose to focus on is, by default, what you are choosing to give your life to. Everything else, no matter how urgent it feels, is something you are simultaneously saying no to. The difficulty is that most people avoid making this distinction clearly, so they end up feeling pulled in every direction, constantly busy but rarely fulfilled. Think about a normal day. You might start with a list of things you want to do, work tasks, personal goals, messages to respond to, content to consume, habits to build, and responsibilities to manage. On paper, it looks manageable. But as the day unfolds, new demands appear, distractions arise, and attention gets scattered. By the end of the day, you may have been busy the entire time, yet feel like nothing meaningful was truly completed. This is because busyness is not the same as focus. Without deciding what truly matters, your attention gets consumed by whatever is loudest, easiest, or most immediate. Imagine a content creator trying to grow online. They could focus on improving storytelling, consistency, audience connection, analytics, editing skills, trend research, and multiple platforms all at once. But when everything is treated as equally important, nothing receives deep attention. Now imagine the same creator deciding to focus on just one or two core priorities, such as consistent content creation and improving storytelling. By narrowing their focus, they create space for real improvement. Over time, this focused effort produces stronger results than scattered attention ever could. A relatable example can also be seen in students. One student tries to master every subject equally, join multiple activities, stay socially active, and prepare perfectly for exams. They end up overwhelmed and mentally exhausted. Another student accepts that they cannot give equal attention to everything, so they prioritize subjects that matter most to their goals and allocate focused time accordingly. The second student may appear less busy, but their progress is often more effective because their attention is not constantly divided. The book emphasizes that focus is not just about productivity, it is about identity. What you repeatedly choose to focus on shapes who you become. If your attention is constantly scattered across distractions, your life begins to feel scattered as well. But if your attention is consistently directed toward a few meaningful areas, your life begins to feel more grounded and intentional. This is why focus is not just a skill, but a form of commitment to a certain way of living. Another key insight is that focusing on what matters requires saying no to many things that also seem important. This is where difficulty arises. For example, someone might want to grow their career, improve their health, maintain relationships, and pursue personal hobbies all at once without sacrificing anything. But the book makes it clear that this approach is not realistic. Every yes automatically creates multiple no-s. If you say yes to constant availability, you are saying no to deep work. If you say yes to every opportunity, you are saying no to focus. In real life, this can be seen in everyday decision-making. A person who constantly checks messages, switches between tasks, and responds to every notification immediately may feel productive, but their attention is fragmented. In contrast, someone who deliberately sets aside time for focus work, even if it means ignoring distractions temporarily, often achieves deeper results in less time. The difference is not effort, but direction of attention. To apply this idea in your own life, start by identifying what truly matters to you right now, not in theory, but in practice. Ask yourself which few areas of your life deserve your deepest attention over the next few months. Then structure your time around those priorities instead of trying to accommodate everything equally. This might mean reducing commitments, limiting distractions, or being more intentional about how you spend your attention each day. Another practical step is to regularly check whether your daily actions match your stated priorities. It is easy to say something is important, but your calendar and attention will reveal what you are actually focused on. If there is a mismatch, adjust your behavior rather than increasing your pressure. Now reflect on your own life. What currently consumes most of your attention? Does it align with what you believe truly matters to you? How often do you feel busy but not truly fulfilled? Are you trying to give equal importance to too many things at once? If you had to remove half of your current distractions, what would you choose to keep? And if your attention defined your life, what kind of life would you be building right now? Main points and actionable lessons. Focus determines how you experience and shape your life because attention is limited. Busyness without focus leads to scattered effort and low fulfillment. You cannot treat everything as equally important. Prioritization is necessary. Saying yes to everything results in saying no to what truly matters. Focus is not just productivity. It shapes identity and direction in life. Deep results come from concentrated attention, not divided effort. Identify a few core priorities and structure your time around them. Align daily actions with what you claim is important. Reduce distractions that pull attention away from meaningful work. Reflect regularly. Is my attention aligned with what I truly value? Ask yourself, if my attention defines my life, what am I actually building right now? Live meaningfully instead of efficiently in 4,000 weeks challenges one of the most deeply ingrained modern beliefs, that the goal of life is to become as efficient as possible. From productivity apps to time management systems, we are constantly encouraged to do more in less time, to optimize every moment, and to eliminate inefficiency wherever possible. But the book argues that efficiency, while useful in certain areas, is a poor foundation for meaningful life. A life optimized only for efficiency often becomes faster, but not necessarily richer, deeper, or more fulfilling. Meaning, not efficiency, is what makes limited time feel valuable. Think about how people often structure their days. Many try to maximize output, finishing tasks quickly, responding faster, multitasking, and squeezing more activities into fewer hours. On the surface, this looks impressive, but the result is often a life that feels rushed, fragmented, and strangely empty. You might complete many tasks in a day and still feel like nothing important actually happened. This is because efficiency focuses on quantity of output, not quality of experience. A highly efficient day is not automatically a meaningful one. Imagine a content creator who optimizes everything: faster editing, quicker uploads, automated tools, and strict schedules. They may produce more videos, but over time, the process starts to feel mechanical. There is less room for creativity, reflection, or enjoyment. Now compare this with another creator who produces fewer videos but spends more time refining ideas, experimenting, and connecting with their audience. They are less efficient, but their work often feels more authentic and meaningful. The difference is not productivity, it is intention. A similar pattern appears in everyday life. Someone might try to be extremely efficient with social interactions, work, and personal goals, treating each activity like a task to be completed as quickly as possible. Conversations become rushed, leisure becomes optimized, and even rest is structured for maximum recovery. Over time, life starts to feel like a checklist rather than an experience. Efficiency removes friction, but it can also remove depth. The book emphasizes that meaning often requires inefficiency. Deep relationships, creative work, personal growth, and emotional connection cannot be rushed or optimized in the same way as routine tasks. For example, a meaningful conversation with a friend might take longer than expected, involve pauses, or wander off topic. From an efficiency perspective, this looks unproductive, but from a human perspective, this is where connection actually happens. Similarly, learning something new often involves confusion, repetition, and slow progress. If you try to eliminate all inefficiency, you also eliminate the very conditions that allow depth to develop. Think about relationships again. If every interaction is treated as something to be completed quickly, there is no space for trust, vulnerability, or shared understanding to grow. But when time is allowed to unfold naturally, without constant pressure to optimize it, relationships become more meaningful. The same applies to hobbies, creativity, and even self-reflection. Meaning often emerges in the unoptimized spaces where life is allowed to be slow, imperfect, and open-ended. The book also points out that modern life often confuses efficiency with success. People feel proud of being busy, fast, and productive, but rarely ask whether their efficiency is leading them toward a meaningful life or just a more packed schedule. For example, Someone might become very efficient at completing work tasks quickly, only to feel to save time with more work. In the end, efficiency does not create more freedom. It often just creates more expectations. To apply this idea in your life, start by identifying areas where you are prioritizing speed over meaning. Ask yourself whether your goal in each activity is to finish it quickly or to experience it fully. You can begin by intentionally slowing down certain parts of your day, such as conversations, meals, or creative work, without trying to optimize every second. This does not mean becoming unproductive. It means choosing depth when it matters. Another practical step is to evaluate whether your tools and systems are serving meaning or just increasing speed. Productivity systems are useful, but they should not replace reflection on what actually matters. If your entire life becomes optimized for efficiency, you may end up with more output but less satisfaction. Now reflect on your own experience. How often do you prioritize finishing things quickly over experiencing them fully? Are you using efficiency to create space for meaning, or simply to do more? Which parts of your life feel rushed but not meaningful? If you stopped optimizing everything for speed, what experiences might become richer? And if your goals shifted from being efficient to being meaningful, what would you start doing differently today? Main points and actionable lessons. Efficiency focuses on doing things faster, but meaning focuses on how deeply you experience them. A highly efficient life is not automatically a fulfilling or meaningful life. Many meaningful experiences require slowness, uncertainty, and imperfection. Relationships, creativity, and personal growth cannot be fully optimized without losing depth. Modern life often mistakes productivity and speed for true success. Efficiency can lead to filling saved time with more tasks instead of more freedom. Slow down in areas where depth matters more than speed. Use productivity tools to support meaning, not replace it. Allow space for unstructured, unoptimized experiences in daily life. Reflect regularly. Am I optimizing for speed or for meaning? Ask yourself, if I stop trying to be efficient all the time, which part of my life will become more meaningful? As we reach the end of this journey through 4,000 weeks, the central message becomes clear. Your time is limited. Your attention is powerful, and the way you live is shaped not by how much you do, but by what you choose to focus on, accept, and let go of. We explored how trying to control everything leads to overwhelm, how impatience and distraction quietly steal your life, how rest is not a reward but a necessity, and how meaning is found not in efficiency or perfection, but in conscious choices made within your limits. In short, life is not something to optimize endlessly, but something to experience fully within its boundaries. When you accept your limits, stay with your commitments, focus on what truly matters, and allow yourself to be present, life becomes less about racing against time and more about living it intentionally. If this audiobook helped you see time, productivity, and life in a new way, consider liking the video, subscribing to the channel Visual Books, and sharing it with someone who needs this perspective. And most importantly, take one idea from this video and apply it today, because understanding life is not enough unless it changes how you live it.